Hello and welcome to the Lending Podcast. We are your hosts. This is JB, Guru of Mortgage. I am Jeff Jones. We're coming to you from Austin, Texas, and we are mortgage loan originators. We call ourselves loan specialists, senior loan officers, because you have gray in your hair.
That's true.
Been doing it a long time.
And I shaved the beard.
Yeah.
So it's been 6 months now.
Man.
The beard's gone.
I kind of miss the beard.
I grew out like 4 days last week because I was traveling, and it's more grayer than ever.
So if you want to see the beard, go back to our earlier episodes.
That's true.
This is going to be in our upper 60s of our episodes, but you're not 60 yet, so we're good.
No, that's right.
But hey, we're talking about some good stuff today. If you're out there and you're thinking of buying a home and you've been waiting, this one is for you. If you are out there and you just want it, and you're a realtor and you're always hearing, I'm just waiting for rates to go down, I'm worried prices might go down further, so if I buy now, I might be missing out on a better deal in 6 months. We're going to talk about that because we think what we've been experiencing for the last 3 years is the new normal.
This is the new normal.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Well, I think that is a fairly common objection that we hear. We need to wait for rates to come down. And we've been talking about this now for a year and a half, and the forecast is, yes, that rates will come down at some point. But we look at the data, and it looks like a heart monitor, right? They get a little worse, they get a little better.
Let's talk.
And so,
go ahead.
What if they don't go down?
What if the forecasts are wrong, JB? Okay, hold on. If anybody has ability to go back in time, which there are a couple websites that do this, which is fun, and you can go back and look at all these forecasts of where mortgage interest rates are expected to be in Q1, Q2, Q2, all the different quarters of the last 3 years, every single forecast was wrong.
Interesting.
In the last 3 years. There hasn't been one correct forecast. And people are like, what do you mean not even a correct forecast? I used to do forecasting models for a major insurance company in America, and ours was called volume forecasting. And we had to be rated on a 3% error ratio.
Okay.
And it was calls by half hour. It was crazy. And we had to do it for like a very extended period of time because they're doing hiring based on these model projections to make sure they have enough people staffing the phones. Mm-hmm. So we had a very rigorous forecasting models. I feel like what people are forecasting, what I'm hearing from all those people out there, that if you just Google forecasting mortgage interest rates, you'll get things from NAR, you get things from MBS, you get things from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Yep. Some of the big banks will have their own forecasting model, Redfin, and anyway, I won't get into it, but there's a lot of people that look at their magic 8-ball and go rates up or down, and then what number. And so they'll put a range of like, it's going to get down to 6.2 to 6.3. Okay. If they got rated on how close their forecasts are, they would all be fired. Yep. Like they would just all be fired. Like you can't be wrong for 3 years and think you're doing a good job at it. So all that to say is don't trust what you're reading in the paper about forecast models because they have not been correct for 3 years.
Well, they have not been correct. And the other thing is what's quoted in the averages out there is not necessarily what your rate's going to be.
Right.
So the average today, I mean, just Google it, it's 7%, 6.98 or 6.75, whatever. I just had a closing yesterday at 6.375. Whoa, right. Half a point below, 0.6 below the average. Right. Well, yes, because we locked it at a different time. His loan structure was a little different, exceptional credit. Like there's all these factors that go in. And so thinking that your average, right? If you look at the average interest rates, that's going to be my interest rate. It really isn't. And there's so many ways to navigate that with the buy downs, the temporary buy downs, the permanent buy downs. So again, this is back to needing a loan specialist, right? A personal finance advisor, if you will, in the mortgage space to help you find the best program. And yes, of course, find the best rates, but also the best balance of rate and cost, right? So we show you, and we really show all of our clients, I'd say 75% of my clients, we have video consultations. My desire is to get to 100%. There's just some clients that don't have the ability to jump on a video call. But we show you behind the curtain and really get fully transparent with I heard this analogy, how the sausage is made, right? It's like how the mortgage interest rate is determined you have to go behind the curtain. You have to look at the different factors, the property type, the credit score, the down payment, the occupancy, like all those things factor in. I think there's 60 something variables, right?
Yeah, and we like demystifying the rate shopping, because we have a lot of episodes, even just on our podcast. One of my favorite ones, episode 38, should you buy down your rate? And buy down is a term. We go deep dive into it, but basically, a lender that is trying to build trust with you that you don't know very well will show you our rate sheet. A rate sheet, I mean,
yes.
What's the lowest one on the rate sheet right now? I mean,
I just priced one at 4.25.
Okay, so we have available for you today a rate of 4.25.
That's right. If you don't come see me
It's
today,
available for you
any money.
today. Guess what? We also have on the same rate sheet, that would be what, 8.25, right? Because it's usually a 4-point range on most rate sheets. There's not enough room because it's a huge long thing by an eighth inch all the way, an eighth every time down. All that to say is you can get that rate, but that rate has a cost, right? And the cost is egregious to buy down that far. You're going to be spending $20,000. Depends on your loan amount.
Sure.
Depends on your rate factors. Rate factors are probably close to 50 to 60 different items that affect your rate score. Everyone is individualized like a fingerprint. That's how individual everyone's rate really is, based on all the risk factors of every piece of your file. It's crazy. Everything that gets checked and marked affects your rate. Yeah. So,
and then we have that ability to shop. Of course, our own. We lend our own money, but we also have other banks that we're shopping, and we're showing you those other options. The one that I just locked this morning, we had 6 different banks that we were looking at. So we're actually, you're kind of like, you're almost talking to 5 different loan officers when you're talking, or 6 different lenders when you're talking to us, because we're shopping. Really, it's probably 30 banks, that we're looking at. But I think this is how we started this episode about timing, right? And if you're in the market to buy a home, is now a good time? And here's the answer: it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. Of course, it's a good time to buy a home if you've been renting for a while, you are in a financial position, comfortable position to make that payment, that rent payment, and you can convert that rent payment into a mortgage payment. Absolutely, you should be buying to get equity build, to get the depreciation if it's an investment property, to get appreciation if it's an owner-occupied property, and appreciation across the board. So yes, you should. However, that's not always my answer to every buyer. There are times where you do need to take a step back, tap the brakes, take 3 to 6 months, work on credit, maybe pay off a bill. You're going to make a job change, whatever. So you need a lender who's fully transparent with you, where the answer is it depends, because the market is primed and ready right now for buyers. There's more inventory, there's value in the marketplace, but are you individually in a position? You need to have that conversation to find out what's available for you. Right.
Yeah, I think many times the smartest move is to buy now, especially if you're comfortable with the mortgage payment.
100%.
Or you're anticipating that you might have to be paying even more for a mortgage if you wait another year, because the cost of buying is going to be more in a year than less, possibly. And that's a big reality. And that's the reality of most scenarios, because equity is continuing to go up.
Yep.
Let me say it again. Equity, the value of a home, continues to go up. It's probably going to go up 2 to 4% this year. So that's still growth.
So let's put that into numbers. I love that. So we have you're a buyer out there, and you're in the $400,000 price range, and you mentioned 2 to 4% appreciation per year. Let's split it down the middle. Let's call it 3% appreciation. Okay. So a $400,000 house today is going to be roughly $410 to $415 next year, right? 3% of 400,000 is 12 grand.
Right.
So 412.
Yeah.
So by waiting a year, $12,000 more for the house, it's actually cost you $1,000 a month. That could have been your down payment. Yeah.
So, because you could buy a house with 3% down on
a
conventional loan for a first-time home buyer.
That's right. And so then what happens when the home prices go up is your mortgage payment goes up, unless you're putting more down to keep the loan amount the same, right? Where interest rate's going to be in a year, that's the $1 million question, right? If they're a little bit higher, That's probably gonna show that the market has actually accelerated and there's more purchases happening.
Yeah.
Because typically when rates come down, then that's going to spur buyer activity. If rates continue to go up, and they likely could, the market will still be warm enough to support that, because it would have to come literally to a screeching halt for rates to come crashing down, and we don't anticipate that.
Yeah.
There's way too much equity. There's not distressed sellers like there were in 2008.
Right.
This is not a repeat of the financial crisis almost 20 years ago, because there's so much equity out there.
Well, let's just go ahead and pretend that we're right, that this is the new normal, and let's think that through a little bit. So that means that the price I pay today will be lower than the price I pay in a year.
That's right.
And it'll be much lower than the price I pay in 2 years. So if you're going to wait a year, you're going to be paying more for a house, in our opinion. At least we're here in Austin, Texas. The housing market is still going up.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a different economy and it's going way down for some kind of reason that we don't know about, I get it. You know, and there are areas in America that are like that. They're just not like that here in Texas. We're in the fastest growing state for housing. So if you're here, like, don't wait, because it's going to go up in cost. Now, let's talk about what that means for, you know, if you are waiting, well, say you buy now, you're paying mortgage interest that can be tax deductible.
Yeah.
You're getting equity, you're getting a lower price, and you're not renting. You're not paying off somebody else's mortgage, right? And is rent going to get cheaper as time goes by?
No, because property taxes are going to keep going up.
Insurance is skyrocketed.
Going up.
So that gets passed on to the renter.
That's right. Landlords' costs are going up, which is why we're seeing a lot of investment properties hit the market for sale. I think investors have got to the point where they maybe can't cash flow in certain areas, and so that's another reason for the higher inventory. And while appreciation rates are still going up, but at a lower rate than they were, there's still value in the marketplace too. Like we talk about this a lot. I'm seeing houses, when contracts come in many cases our buyers are able to negotiate really well with that seller. And it doesn't mean that the value has come down per se. I think a lot of times it's because the seller has their home just simply overpriced.
You know, and there is some niche stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like, here's some examples just in my little town. I live in Buda. I love Buda. So Buda, Texas, go. There's a house on the market in a decrepit area of our town, and it was listed. It's a 1,000 square foot house. It's old. It's small, but it's cute. It was updated on the inside. Outside needs some work, probably some foundation work. Mm-hmm. It was listed at $289. Yesterday, it sold for $216.
Oh wow!
So obviously, somebody found something that probably is a major problem that needs to get fixed, and they negotiated it. And at a selling point, somebody got it on a steal, and it's in the city limit. Right?
How come you didn't tell me about that one?
I found out about it 2 days ago, and then it sold the next day.
Dang.
So it went quick. Hard negotiation probably on that one.
Yeah.
So they got that thing, to me, way undervalued. Then there's a property, good friend of mine is a listing agent on. It's in a neighborhood where the house across the street is $115,000 more, both for sale. You know, so it's selling for $660, and the neighboring one is $875.
Oh wow!
Obviously, very nice neighborhood, 2 acres.
Sure.
One of my favorite neighborhoods in our area, but that one's got built on equity too. And so there are these little niche properties where people are just needing to sell. Whether it's parents have moved on and the house is empty, and you know the kids are just trying to sell it. That happens in life, and there's other reasons, but there are those little gems, and right now sometimes they sit for a bit. So this right now is you have a lot of negotiating power when you're buying right now.
Yeah, you have a lot of negotiating power, and the most common conversation that we're having, at least I'm having, I can't speak for Jeff, is the buy before you sell, right?
Yeah.
We're in a home now. This other house came on the market. It's around the corner. It's in the neighborhood. It's bigger. Or it's a multi-generational floor plan. Hey, my parents are going to move in with us, or my dad's ill and he needs to move in, or what have you. So I'm having those conversations quite a bit. I have a veteran client right now who owns a home, and he does not have a mortgage. He's paid it off. It's free and clear. And he found another house that suits his family needs better. So we're trying to buy that. He wants to buy that before he can sell. He's got a little bit of work to do, on his personal qualification criteria, right? So we're working with him to get himself in a better spot. So that's the most common conversation. And then of course, we have a lot of first-time buyers that have never bought a house before, and we'd love to navigate that process with our first-timers, because it brings me back to my early stages of the business and kind of takes me back to 24 years ago when I started doing mortgage lending. We were doing mostly refinances back then. It was just after 9/11, and rates really came down, and there was a lot of refinances and cash outs. But as I started to do more purchases, I just got a lot more passionate about this business, right? And solving that puzzle, as we asked the question, like, what is the most important thing to you about this home purchase? What's the most important thing to you about this move? And then really putting those pieces together to make that happen for you. And sometimes it's very, very complex, and sometimes it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
And so you won't know till you have the conversation.
You won't know till you have the conversation. And what's wonderful when you work with a loan specialist in that conversation is we can put a scenario together called the cost of waiting scenario.
Yes.
Right? We love providing visuals of numbers so people can make a good decision. So if we put something in front of you of, this is where you're at now, this is where you're going to be when you own, this is where you're going to be if you don't own and you wait, and maybe a year or two. So it's like a cost of waiting scenario, all side by side, so you can compare easily. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, tells a pretty strong story for most people. Like, man, if we can swing closing in the next 30 days, I'm going to do it. Yep. So what do I need to do?
Yep.
Because this makes sense not to wait.
Well, we've touched on this before. I mean, I've bought and sold real estate for the last over 20 years.
Yeah.
And there's not a property that I've sold that I'm glad that I sold. Like, I really wish I'd have kept every single house that I bought.
We used
to own, we owned 7 rental properties in South Austin. And then the financial crash hit, right? And so things happened. So it was a huge blessing. It's like we had these rental properties that had appreciated. We had low mortgage balances. Obviously, we didn't sell them at the height of the market because we sold them in 2011, 2012, and that was a pretty depressed, time in real estate. But still a win compared to when we bought them. And I think that's the other thing that people have to think about. It's the time in the market, right? Not timing the market, and we've talked about that before, because you don't know the peak until it's behind you, and you don't know the valley until it's behind you. We don't know the absolute peak and the valleys of our market. But when you buy property right and you hang on to it, and what I mean by right is you buy value, right? You get the right house for you. The house that has characteristics where you walk in and you say, wow, this is it. That there's another buyer that's going to have that same feeling.
Right.
I think we reinforce this when we have our conversations with our first timers, especially. The most important part about buying a house is getting the right house.
Right.
It's not the mortgage. You don't walk into the house and say, okay, I like the kitchen, but let me call my lender real quick and see what my interest rate's going to be. I mean, that comes later, but you're really like, you're walking through the house and you're with your family and you're saying, look at this backyard. Like, look at this swimming pool. I love this kitchen. Hey, we could change that. We could change this, but the bones of the house are perfect. I envision me and my family here making memories. That's really what home ownership's about. And then we'll navigate you through the process. We'll get you the best loan for sure. And that's why I've got clients that I've had for 23 years, right? Because you're going to be a client for life. And we're going to nurture that asset, for the next 5, 10, 15 years, however long you have the house. And when that house doesn't suit your needs anymore, you've built equity, you've paid it down, you've paid yourself instead of paying your landlord, and then you're selling that and you're parlaying it into the next property, which, by the way, for a single person is $250,000 of tax-free equity when you sell.
It's a lot.
And for a married couple, it's $500,000 in tax-free equity when you sell. So that's a huge way to not avoid paying taxes, but it's just part of the tax code. You just don't owe taxes on that money and parlay that into the next purchase. And
I really want to kind of touch on something. If you're a first-time home buyer and you've never bought a home, and this is scary, try to think of 5 family members or friends that bought their first home and ask them the question, do you regret doing that?
Good.
Like in my mind, they're all going to say, no, I don't regret buying my first home. The home we bought was not a home we picked out. It was just offered to us. We didn't house shop. We hated the layout. We hated a lot of stuff. I had to gut the carpet that was in the bathrooms. Yes, there was carpet in both bathrooms. They're nasty. I would have ran away if I was house hunting and saw that, but we still bought that house. You know what I mean? And I don't regret it for a moment. Even all the work we had to do to it.
I think the house I grew up in had carpet in the bathrooms at one point. It has tile.
What is wrong with people?
I don't know. Until you said that, I was like, that's crazy.
It was a thing in the 70s. It was a thing.
Yeah, I think we had
because it was shag carpet.
Well, ours wasn't shag, but it was. There was carpet in there. I think so. Not anymore, but anyway.
So all I have to say is,
don't buy a house with carpet in the bathrooms.
No, but you'll look back on these decisions of buying a house, and I have a feeling, maybe 1 out of 100 would regret it, and 99 people out of 100 will not regret it. So our goal in our heart is to see financial freedom, financial growth for everyone in America, and across the world. So we think home ownership is one of the key fundamental things for that, and for your family. Like me raising my kids in a home is so much better than an apartment that we were in, when we first moved here. So we really want that for everybody. So knowledge is power. If you're thinking of buying in the next 6 to 12 months, talk to a loan specialist, because they can navigate these things for you and show you that the smartest move you might make this year is buying that home.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're really excited about where the industry is going. I do believe, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, the technology advancements, the automation, it will be easier in some aspects, for our clients, seamless, and painless, right? I mean, like we talked about, the upfront work that you put into getting approved should be the majority of the work on the process, and then it's fun, right? And then there's an obstacle, there's a speed bump. Let's work through it, figure it out. Okay, move on, and get you closed so that you can start making memories in your house. Because I can tell you, we've been in our house for almost 10 years. It's been an incredible investment. It has doubled in value in 10 years, literally.
Wait.
Doubled.
Let's say that again. Doubled
in value
in 10 years.
In 10 years. And at the peak, it was more than that. Yeah.
Now there's something to say for that. Like a higher price point house value increases faster than a lower price point house.
That's right.
So if you're a move-up buyer, and you're sitting on your home and you're like, man, is my $300,000 home is now worth $425,000.
Yep.
Should we buy that $600,000 house now?
Yep.
Look at that carefully, because we can help navigate what that can look like in 3 to 5 years.
And also it's really critical, the higher price point homes, the buyers that are buying these homes need that tax deduction.
Right.
Like it's a huge tax. The interest and the property tax deductions, you're on a $500,000, $600,000 house, you're talking that could be upwards of $30,000, $40,000 deduction. And if you're in the $25,000 or 25% tax bracket, you're getting a fourth of that back. So if you have a $40,000 interest and tax deduction, you're getting $10,000 back. So when you look at your mortgage payment, it's really $800 a month lower, $10,000 a year lower than what you're actually paying. Those are the types of equations that we need to run. That's the type of math that we need to run to justify, well, the interest rates seem a little higher than they were. They're definitely elevated from 4 years ago, but here's the thing. This is the new normal. Like 7%, we could be in 6.5% to 7% rates for the foreseeable future. And so if we're waiting for rates to come down and other folks are jumping into the market, they're starting that appreciation, they're starting that principal pay down, and those renters are on the sidelines basically losing out. We don't want you to lose out.
No, we want you to win.
That's right.
We're here to help you win. So I like this one. I think this one hopefully was encouraging. And as you can tell, we're pretty biased that this is the smartest time to buy is now, as it almost always has been. Because you wait, you miss out.
That's right. That's right. And if it's not the right time, we're going to be honest with you and say, hey, because it does depend. There are some situations.
100%.
But to your point, if a client is comfortable with the payment and you can make the monthly payment, still have the leftover funds to still contribute to your 401k, still do fun stuff with the family, still take the kids on vacation, then you need to be buying a house, right? If it's a no to those other things, if buying the house means you have to say no to everything else in your life that gives you joy, then maybe it's not the right time to buy a house, right? But we will help you with that, for sure.
Good.
Cool.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, go ahead and close us out, JB.
Oh, you're the one. You do a better job of that. So.
We are the Lending Podcast. We have the most creative name ever for our podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, and give us some comments. We would love to hear from our people listening. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. See you next time.
Bye.